Johnny Carson reigned as the dominant figure in late-night television for a remarkable 30-year span. During his tenure, Carson encountered a diverse array of guests, some of whom elicited laughter, stimulated thought, and a select few who proved to be particularly challenging for him. Among the guests Johnny Carson reputedly found difficult to tolerate, Bob Hope holds the distinction of being the first on the list. Despite both being esteemed comedy icons, Carson and Hope's relationship behind the scenes was characterized by a lack of warmth. Carson appreciated spontaneous, genuine conversations with his guests, a style that diverged sharply from Bob Hope's reliance on pre-planned content. According to Andrew Nichols, a former head writer for Carson, Hope heavily depended on scripted material and did not engage in the organic, unscripted discussions Carson preferred. As time passed, Carson's enthusiasm for hosting Hope waned due to the stiffness and artificiality of Hope's appearances on the show. Hope's adherence to pre-agreed questions and responses, as well as his reliance on a scripted approach, contributed to a lackluster and awkward dynamic during interviews on the show. Their strained relationship extended beyond the studio, with a quiet rivalry existing between the two offstage. During Ronald Reagan's first presidential inauguration, where both were invited to perform, Hope, despite being the elder statesman, attempted to offer Carson joke suggestions, causing tension between the two. Ultimately, despite Hope's attempts to assist, Carson was left feeling exasperated once Hope departed. It's remarkable how NBC consistently featured Bob Hope, despite his differences with Johnny Carson. Even when Carson relocated The Tonight Show to California, he inherited a studio originally constructed for Hope, who still retained special privileges to appear on the show at any time for promotional purposes. Although Carson was displeased by this arrangement, declining Hope's requests was not an option. The challenges with guests did not end there, as Frank Sinatra's unconventional behavior added another layer of complexity to the show. Sinatra's commanding presence and high demands made each of his appearances a significant production, which clashed with Carson's preference for order and control. While Carson deeply admired Sinatra's talent, accommodating the legendary singer meant relinquishing control of the show, a notion that did not sit well with Carson, who had dedicated years to perfecting his role as the consummate host. Following Sinatra's disruptive visits, the show faced a different kind of challenge with the arrival of Harry Belafonte, which prompted Carson to navigate an entirely distinct set of difficulties. Johnny Carson held Harry Belafonte in high regard for his versatile talents as a singer, actor, and humanitarian. Harry Belafonte's mesmerizing voice, captivating screen presence, and dedication to civil rights were truly remarkable. However, when Belafonte appeared on The Tonight Show, Carson faced a unique challenge. While most guests aimed to entertain the audience with light-hearted stories and promotions, Belafonte used the platform to address weighty issues such as civil rights, social justice, and the struggles of African Americans. This departure from the show's usual tone sometimes left Carson in a difficult position, torn between maintaining the show's light-hearted atmosphere and respecting Belafonte's important messages. Despite the mutual respect between Carson and Belafonte, their differing objectives often led to serious conversations that didn't align with the show's typical content. On the other hand, Wayne Newton, a Vegas showman, posed a different challenge for Carson. Despite Carson's light-hearted jokes about Newton's persona, the entertainer took them personally and felt that they were damaging his professional image. The jokes directed at Newton became too much for him, leading him to confront Carson in his office unannounced. Newton made it clear that the jokes needed to stop, and although the exact conversation remains private, it was understood to be a serious and tense exchange. Despite his typically soft-spoken demeanor, Newton's assertiveness in this situation was reportedly intimidating to Carson, who was accustomed to being in control. Carson, known for making fun of various public figures, was taken aback by Newton's demand, as no one had ever approached him in such a manner before. While the jokes about Wayne Newton did cease after this confrontation, the impact of the incident lingered, leading to a noticeable shift in the dynamics of Newton's occasional appearances on The Tonight Show. Although Carson maintained professionalism on camera, behind the scenes, he harbored resentment towards Newton for the confrontation. Shelley Winters, an Academy Award-winning actress, brought a different kind of energy to The Tonight Show stage, often catching Carson off guard with her unpredictable behavior. Winters' tendency to interrupt, go on tangents, and steer the conversation in unexpected directions made Carson visibly tense, as he preferred a more structured and controlled interview. He excelled at leading discussions, crafting jokes, and showcasing his guests in a positive light. However, Winters was quite the opposite, often bringing unpredictability and chaos, whether sharing heartwarming stories or emotional outbursts. During one memorable taping, Winters surprised Carson by spontaneously handing him her shoe without any explanation, leaving him visibly bewildered. Despite the audience's laughter, Carson's expression revealed his genuine confusion and discomfort. Winters' dominating presence often turned what should have been a smooth talk show segment into a one-woman show, much to Carson's professional frustration. On the other hand, Fred Rogers, known for promoting kindness and empathy, presented a different challenge for Carson. Rogers' focus on discussing emotions, children's well-being, and societal improvement contrasted with the light-hearted banter typically seen on late-night TV, making Carson feel out of his element. While Carson excelled in humor and playful teasing, Rogers aimed to address deeper, thought-provoking topics, which posed a unique dilemma for the show's dynamic. Carson found himself in a challenging situation when trying to interact with Mr. Rogers, as he felt unable to engage in his usual light-hearted banter without appearing mean-spirited. While attempting to match Mr. Rogers' gentle energy, Carson struggled to establish a comfortable connection, as their styles of communication seemed to be at odds. The interviews with Mr. Rogers were not disastrous, but they often felt awkward, with two individuals from vastly different backgrounds attempting to connect without entirely succeeding. Similarly, the presence of Charlton H., a Hollywood legend known for his serious and formal demeanor, posed a different kind of challenge for Carson. Unlike other celebrities, Charlton H. maintained a consistently serious and weighty approach to conversations, often delving into historical and dramatic explanations even in casual discussions. Carson, accustomed to guests with a more versatile and light-hearted approach, found it difficult to engage in the kind of flow and rhythm he preferred during interviews. As Charlton H.'s involvement in politics and gun rights advocacy grew, the interviews with him became even more demanding for Carson, requiring a delicate balance between seriousness and lightness. Carson generally avoided controversial political topics on his show, opting for a light and entertaining approach. However, he did hold strong opinions and was not hesitant to express them, putting him in the uncomfortable position of either engaging in political debates or redirecting the conversation. This created a noticeable tension, though not explosive, between two iconic figures with contrasting styles striving to create television magic, albeit not always succeeding. Carson maintained professionalism, but it was evident that he exerted extra effort to keep the conversation flowing smoothly. Speaking of guests who brought challenging energy to the show, one notable instance involved Chevy Chase, a prominent figure in comedy during the mid-1970s. Chase, known for his role in launching Saturday Night Live and his sharp, sarcastic humor, appeared to have an off-putting demeanor from the start of his appearance on The Tonight Show. Unlike most comedians who displayed respect and gratitude towards Carson, Chase seemed to believe he was doing Carson a favor by appearing on the show. Carson, renowned for making his guests shine, found it challenging to maintain his usual dynamic with Chase, who exhibited a more self-centered and competitive attitude, often at Carson's expense. The underlying sense of competition in their interactions left everyone uneasy, as Chase seemed determined to outshine Carson and possibly had aspirations in late-night television, adding to the tension. The perception that Chase might be eyeing Carson's position, whether true or not, created an atmosphere of rivalry that hindered genuine conversation on the show. Chase's appearances always seemed fine on the surface, but those who knew Carson well could see the signs of discomfort. Carson's professionalism prevented his personal feelings from derailing the show, but subtle cues indicated his unease during Chase's segments. Carson, known for handling difficult conversations effortlessly, found having Chevy Chase on the show to be like a challenging balancing act on a tightrope. The experience was technically successful, but proved to be exhausting for everyone involved. Johnny Carson, a master of his craft, faced challenges even with talented and successful guests on late-night television. Carson's genius lay in making the difficult task of managing challenging guests appear easy, ultimately making him a better host. Dealing with these difficult guests forced Carson to adapt, find new ways to manage challenging situations, and maintain his professional demeanor. In the end, these challenging guests contributed to the creation of the legendary career of Johnny Carson.